Plataforma de información musical y radio online. Rutas Alternas. Escucha.
Lael Neale es una de las voces jóvenes que llega de los Estados Unidos para presentarnos música nueva este 2022, después de que el año pasado entregó su aclamado disco debut. Sigue trabajando activamente, convertida en una muy interesante compositora de su generación. Y para charlar al respecto, tenemos el gusto de conversar hoy en esta videollamada con Lael. Hola, Lael.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Bien, gracias. You told me that you speak a little Spanish, right?
Sí.
Because
Puedo
just because you live for almost 10 years in California, so there are a lot of Mexican or Spanish speaking people there, right?
Yes, but I should know so much more because I studied it a lot in school. So
Cool.
I was very, very interested in the Spanish language and culture. So, but it's been a long time since I was in school, so I'm rusty.
No problem. You can practice. You can come a few months to Mexico. You can practice. No.
Exactly. It'll come right back, I think.
Okay, so Lael, you are releasing your latest single, Hotline, after your debut album last year. First of all, what can you tell us about this acclaimed debut album? I read several great reviews about it. It sounds amazing. I found you as a great lyricist. So, what can you tell us about this album?
Thank you. Well, it was something that kind of happened. I'd been writing music for years, but I wrote those songs. I discovered an omnichord, an instrument called an omnichord, which is kind of like an electronic version of an auto harp, which is an old Appalachian music, but it creates these long, sustained, lush chords. And so I had kind of magically been handed this instrument, and within a month or two of receiving that, I wrote most of the songs from the album Acquainted with Night. So it kind of inspired this burst of songwriting that was different than any songwriting I had done before. So that was really exciting for me, and it made all of the songs from the album sound of a piece, and very much there's a very strong thread of the sound through it. And then that happened in conjunction with figuring out that I like to record on cassette tape recorders.
Okay.
So I used a 4-track tape cassette recorder to record this album, thinking that, I would like it, but maybe nobody else in the world would, because it's an antiquated machine, but it created some kind of special alchemy with the songs and the way my voice sounded, and with the omnichord, which sounds kind of at once ancient but then also strangely modern, and I guess modern in the 80s was when it was created, but that's modern to me. So.
But now that you mentioned, Lil, this organic sound that you find in a tape, it makes sound great, an album. I didn't know that, but now that you mention, I understand a lot of things that I listen in your album. It's like all the greatest albums that we listen from the 50s or the 60s and the 70s were recorded on tape.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I mean, I've just been having the conversation with the producer who I'm working with, who made that album with me, and who we're working on some new songs. And it's funny because it feels like the right format and medium to make my music on. But it's, the potential for it to come into conflict with our modern ears, and people are used to hearing things that are high fidelity.
Yes.
And so it's definitely a strong and potentially foolhardy choice to make it on tape cassette, because it's very limited. But I just love how it sounds. It feels like out of time in a way.
Yes, it's like to listen an album on streaming platforms or in a vinyl, right? It sounds different.
Right. Exactly.
And now there's a race between streaming platforms to have a better sound, right? High fidelity audio, Dolby Atmos. I mean, they're trying to find this kind of sound that maybe we only find in CD or vinyl.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that'll be really interesting if that's possible, because it's a little it's a little disappointing where things are now as far as sound quality.
But the most important thing is the song. And I found your songs with a lot of emotions, with a lot of emotional power. Maybe to listen, lie down in the evening, watching the sky, watching the skyline, and with maybe a little melancholy. I don't know. You have these
Yeah,
emotions when you write the song, the album.
yeah. I think well, what was happening at that time in my life was it was just a big transition period. So I was coming to music and to songwriting as a form of solace, and I think I was feeling quite alone and isolated. And so I was walking through Los Angeles and feeling the, the loneliness of being in a city of thousands and thousands of people, but also the connection with the people, even strangers. So it's kind of this, it's, I really miss living in the city for that reason, that there's almost this bittersweet twist where you feel alone amongst strangers, but then also there's a togetherness in the loneliness as well. So yeah, that kind of infused a lot of the songs, and so it's interesting because I wrote them before the whole pandemic situation happened, and so the fact that it came out at a time when more and more people are feeling cut off from others just kind of seemed like that was exactly the right space for this album to live in, because hopefully it would provide kind of the solace that it provided for me.
We have to mention, Lael, that you are born and raised in Virginia, and you moved to California for over 10 years, and now you have returned to Virginia. How important is this change of environment for you as a creator?
It's definitely significant. I think I used to write based on perceptions and experiences I would have every single day with different people and with different, just the vision component of living in a city is you're just completely assaulted constantly by different vignettes, and so that created a very, very much kind of like cinematic atmosphere to create music in. And now I look out the window and it's the same scene every single day. I walk and it's trees and no people. It's time moves very slowly here. So it's funny because the music that I'm making now is much more upbeat and intense and has much more energy. So it's almost like I've found a counterbalance to each environment that I live in. So in LA, which is so overstimulating, I kind of created a very introspective album. And now in a very kind of quiet, introspective environment, I'm creating a more extroverted album, if that makes sense.
And actually, that now that you mentioned your latest single, Hotline, have all these things that you said, an upbeat, more intense song. And I read that when you released the song Hotline, you actually made a hotline receiving call from your fans. Of course, not exactly as a hotline, but you telling the fortune to your fans, right?
Yeah.
How
That was
cool is
really
that?
That's really fun. It was definitely, it was so funny because I think maybe, I don't know, 60 or 70% of the people were expecting a computer or a robot recording, you know? And when I actually answered, it was like really, people were like, oh my God, what?
I know, because nowadays with social media, you can be in touch with your artist that you are a fan through message or watch parts of your daily life. But if you have a call with your artist, it's amazing, right? And more amazing if you tell their fortune.
Yeah, exactly.
Do- do-
That was kind of the whole point of doing it, is I wanted to connect with people because I haven't been able to play shows, and that's so important to me. I really value actual real life connection with people, you know.
and maybe in these pandemic times, we all want to know what's in our future, right? We're desperate to know
Yes.
exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't predict the future, but there's no reason to think anything but positive thoughts about it, you know. We've just got to
Absolutely.
move forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, you made a video, very different video for this song, with these kind of colors, retro colors, with the lollipop, a little maybe innocence around the video for, as you said, a contraposition with the name of the song. How did you make this video?
That was a collaboration between me and my friend Jane, who also wrote the song with me. And she and I kind of we've been working together for a while, but we both use these kind of old tape video cameras
Yeah.
that record onto tape. So it's kind of the same format as the album was made on. So she and I kind of just played together, and I don't remember, I think she came up with the idea of using these strong colors and having the most simple video possible, basically, and very homemade looking, you know. It's all, you know, shaky and very much a homemade project, which is kind of what I like the most.
Love it, love it. We can watch it on YouTube, and of course, listen your new single Hotline in streaming platforms. And we can find your album Acquainted with the Night in vinyl or CD.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
In your website or with your label.
It's through Sub Pop. So
Okay.
the best way to get that is through the Sub Pop website. I think they have a store called Mega Mart.
How you feel working with Sub Pop, because they are a very amazing label with a lot of history and amazing bands, amazing albums. How you feel working with them?
I feel like it's the greatest honor. They're amazing. They've exceeded expectations, and I feel really fortunate.
Lael, do you have plans to make a tour this 2022?
Yes. I was supposed to be on tour now, actually, in Europe, but that got canceled. And so some things are getting moved now into September. But yes, I'm definitely planning on that, and kind of waiting for the opportunity to strike.
And when will you come to Mexico?
I hope as soon as possible. I've actually been looking at plane tickets, so whether it's on tour or for fun, I'll be there.
You know you have to come, right? To play. Of course, it's great to make tourism here, but you have to come to play.
I know. I will. I've always wanted to go. I've only been to Baja, so I really want to go to mainland Mexico.
I know it's sometimes a little hard for independent artists to make travel to Mexico, but I'm pretty sure that 99% of the artists that have come to play here return.
Yes, that's what I've heard. I've heard the best things about it, so I'm excited to do that.
Hope you can make it. Looking forward to see you live here in Mexico. In the meantime, we can listen Acquainted with Night through digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. We can buy the CD or the vinyl in the Sub Pop website. And we can watch your videos on YouTube, your latest single, Hotline. That it sounds really, really amazing. Love the song, Lael.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to see you here in Mexico. Lael Neale, thank you so much for this chat with Rutas Alternas.
Thank you so much. Adiós.
Plataforma de información musical y radio online. Rutas Alternas. Escucha.